When the Tomorrow War begins, Dan Forrester seems like just your average family man, wishing he were doing something more exciting with his life. But after he's forced to time travel into the future to stop terrifying aliens from wiping out the human species, he understands that there's nothing more important than family, and the simple drive to do right by our loved ones can make heroes of us all. This is The Takeaway, a series brought to you by The Take, where we break down the endings of your favorite films and TV shows to get at their deeper meanings and messages. In this episode, we're taking a look at The Tomorrow War, an invasion thriller with a twist. This time, the threat that's invading us is the future.
We are fighting a war 30 years in the future.
Spoilers are coming, so if you haven't yet, go watch The Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime Video and come back to this video to find out what it all meant. In the years 2022 to 2023, soldiers are traveling 30 years into the future to fight the vicious invading aliens, the White Spikes, in the Tomorrow War, but they're losing badly.
30% of draftees return, and they suffer so much post-trauma they can barely talk.
When Dan is drafted, he teams up in 2053 with his brilliant grown-up daughter, Murray, who brought him there to transport a special toxin back to his present time.
If this toxin works, I need you to take it back.
She's realized the only hope is to kill the White Spikes before they have a chance to take over the planet.
You have the resources and the ability to mass produce it in your time, and then you can stop this war from ever happening.
Before he starts his tour, Dan learns that he'll be dead in that future time.
It says that I die in 7 years.
Which turns out to be a prerequisite for fighting in the Tomorrow War. People can't travel to a time when they're already alive.
That's why the people training us are so young.
They haven't been born yet.
In the 2050s, time travel technology is still pretty rough.
It is held together with chewing gum and chicken wire. If we weren't in an extinction level event, we'd still be jumping lab rats.
Only possible between these two specific points of time.
Time is like a river flowing in one steady direction, and this jump link places two rafts on that river of time.
Now we can jump back and forth between them, but both rafts will always keep moving forward.
Almost as disturbing to Dan as the impending apocalypse is the revelation that in the timeline adult Murray has lived, his future, Dan abandoned his family.
I know for a fact I would never leave you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now, Dan tries to do right by Murray and her mission to save humankind, but this requires going against all his fatherly impulses and leaving her there to die.
Believe me, I've thought of everything, and this is the only way.
Dan brings the toxin back to 2023.
A green vial, where is it?
It's in your hand.
Just as Murray dies and the human race is wiped out, at which point the ability to time travel between present day and future ceases.
The jump link just went offline. We can't send anything back.
Dan still has to figure out how to use the toxin to kill the aliens whenever they show up.
Now I've got a solution and no way to use it.
And his wife Emmy offers the key insight.
Just because they attacked in 2048 doesn't mean that's when they got here. We're looking at the wrong year.
Suspecting the White Spikes may already be there, Dan takes the White Spike claw that Dorian kept as a souvenir.
You still got that claw?
To their friend Charlie's lab, where they find it contains traces of Chinese volcanic ash.
So how does Chinese volcanic ash end up on an island in northern Russia?
After a little assistance from Dan's volcano-obsessed student, Martin,
The lives of every man, woman, and child on this planet could be saved if we could just get the answer to one question, and it's all about volcanoes.
I knew this would happen.
they realize that the aliens in fact landed thousands of years ago in present-day Russia and have been submerged in ash and ice.
They would have to dig through 1,000 years of ice.
They didn't dig down, they dug up.
They've been here the whole time.
Due to global warming, they will finally thaw out in 2048.
They didn't wait it out, they thawed out.
With society in chaos and the government offering no help,
we'll be lucky if we don't kill each other off long before the aliens get here.
Well, I hate to say I told you so, but people just hate spending money on research.
Dan follows his daughter's example and overcomes his distrust of his own father, calling on his off-the-grid dad,
a master's degree in engineering and a general disdain for the U.S. government, not to mention no visible means of income,
to fly them to Russia under the radar.
They say kids never come by unless they need something.
Their motley crew that also includes Charlie, Dorian, Lieutenant Hart, and the other young soldiers from the future who got trapped in the present.
We made as much of the toxin as we could. I hope it's enough.
land in Russia, blast down through the ice, and find the site where the alien ship is buried. They come to the conclusion that these aliens are a weapon.
They're cargo.
Or weapons. Planet-clearing weapons?
Who's to say Earth was their target?
But it's unknown who this third party is that sent them so long ago.
It doesn't matter. When we're done with them, it'll be like they were never here at all.
Along with Dorian, Hart and her fellow future soldiers sacrifice themselves to blow up the aliens, thus avoiding the paradox of existing already when they're born in the future. This leaves Dan, his dad, and Charlie to fight the female who's escaped the nest.
Surprise, dumbass.
And who, as Dan learned from Muri, is the key threat to eliminate because she can perpetuate her species.
We better go get her before she lays an egg or whatever the hell they do.
They at last destroy the female white spike with the toxin, and she falls to her death in a shot that mirrors Muri's fall earlier in the film, visually reminding us that Dan has succeeded in helping Muri and all of humankind avoid that monstrous tomorrow.
I never told her about our 7 days together, nor how in a future that now will never happen, she changed me.
So, what are the takeaways in all this? According to director Chris McKay,
Our intention was to blend It's a Wonderful Life with sci-fi.
like George Bailey in that movie classic, Dan has to be shaken out of his rut in order to understand just how wonderful his life truly is. At the beginning of their movies, both men are not feeling the spirit of their Christmas season as they dwell on what they don't have. High school science teacher Dan has just found out he didn't get the job of his dreams.
This is real work in an actual lab. It's my dream.
And despite his happy marriage and adorable young daughter, he can't shake the feeling that he's not fulfilling his potential.
I am meant to do something special with my life.
When we meet Muri in the future timeline, we find out that this seemingly devoted family man eventually allowed his discontent to consume him.
You never seemed happy with your life.
He gave up his family
You left us.
and eventually lost his life in a car accident, whose cause isn't specified but feels like it's a result of his living self-destructively or could even be intentional.
And then on my 16th, we got a call from the hospital.
This alternate timeline death, too, is a nod to It's a Wonderful Life, which centers on George Bailey contemplating if his life isn't worth living, when, like Dan, he's shown a reality where his family is worse off because he doesn't exist. It's this vision that makes him appreciate how rich he is in the wealth that matters.
To my big brother George, the richest man in town.
Similarly, Dan gets the rare opportunity of insight into how his actions will make an imprint on the future, most saliently through his daughter.
I wanted you to see me. I wanted you to hear me. I wanted you to fix it.
At the beginning, when Dan implies he's destined for greatness, he thinks that means having a great career.
You know what it takes to be the best. You gotta say to yourself, I will do, you have to think this, what nobody else is willing to do.
But the movie charts his realization that winning the trust of his family is the great thing.
I'm asking you to do what no one else is willing to do.
In Christmas of 2022, Dan has to be consoled by his little girl.
Everything's gonna be okay, Dad.
And remarks that it should be the other way around.
Although I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be me telling you that.
But in the future, we again see his daughter saving him. He has to listen to Muri.
I need you to do exactly what I say.
And have faith in her plan to save the world.
You gotta leave me.
So the deeper lesson is that we have to trust our kids' wisdom and let them lead us. The movie also reminds us this trust needs to extend backward to our parents and previous generations, an idea that's visually underlined through mirroring scenes of Dan shooting at white spikes back-to-back with both his dad and his daughter. And while in the present-day timeline, young Muri doesn't want her dad to go and fight,
Don't let them take you, please do.
It's okay, just breathe. It's okay. Just breathe. Deep breaths, right, Daddy?
he's going because adult Muri is asking him to come to fight with her.
I brought you here for a reason.
A reminder that the need for parental guidance and familial trust never goes away.
You need to make sure this never happens. I love you, Dad.
One of the Tomorrow War's big takeaways is that even when problems seem unsolvable, we have to press through for our partners, parents, and children, and that selfless devotion to family can make us capable even of the most impossibly heroic deeds.
was trying to save my daughter. If I gotta save the world to save her, then I'm damn sure gonna do it.
Moreover, as a society facing enormous dangers, the desire to protect all of our families can bond us together.
For the first time in human history, the armed forces from every nation are united against one enemy. You won't be fighting for your country, you'll be fighting for the world.
The film ends as Dan is dragging the trash can up his driveway, an everyday act in an average family home, while someone else takes credit for his successful mission on TV.
As soon as I heard that the white spikes might already be here, my actions were swift and decisive.
Dan has realized that glory doesn't bring satisfaction, and he focuses instead on what he now knows is really important.
I'll never leave this family. Because my best future, it turns out, was always right in front of me.
The Tomorrow War replaces the threats of a faceless, distant future with something that affects us much more acutely. Our own families, our children in imminent danger.
There's a cry for help across time. It's the voice of your children.
Putting a loved one's face on the people who will have to suffer future apocalyptic threats.
You're saying you literally physically saw our daughter?
Suddenly makes those dangers all the more tangible and emotionally urgent.
We are you. We need you. Our fathers, mothers, and grandparents.
Dan has to go back to the present to defeat the aliens before the problem gets insurmountable. And the symbolism of this is that we too need to tackle tomorrow's problems today. The Tomorrow War directly underlines the threat of climate change. It's the reason the aliens are able to escape from the ice.
Martin, can you bring up an ice melt projection for Russia?
The problems that come with climate change can sound distant.
So you're telling me all this is melting in 30 years?
But as the movie drives home, it's our own beloved children who will be hurting from the effects of our inaction.
This is the end. The human species will disappear from the face of the earth.
The Tomorrow War also reflects our present-day temptation to despair, that future threats seem insurmountable and thus pointless to try to change.
What's the point? School, grades, college? It's all bullshit. Yeah, we've seen the new number projections. We lose.
But here we're encouraged to face the harsh reality while we're still in that crucial window during which we can influence the outcome.
1 degree is the difference between ice and water.
Each of the central characters in the story shows how it's possible to take control of your own destiny.
We need a plane and a pilot willing to commit an international felony.
The character of Dorian initially seems jaded and even hopeless. He's repeatedly served tours in the future, but we learn this is because he decided to face death on his terms.
I'll be dead in 6 months. Cancer. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep living my life. I'd rather die here than a slow death back home.
In this way, Dorian's life and death represent a microcosm of the wider story. He understands that we can't just let bad things happen to us, we have to confront them head on.
I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die my way!
Future Murray likewise has the vision to grasp that even when we feel like we don't have any options, we can still take control in the most important ways.
Just want to save the world.
The film sends the inspirational reminder that if we all work together, dads, moms, sons, and daughters, and look at things from different angles, combining our unique perspectives, we can solve anything, just as long as we start now.
We're gonna figure this out together.
The Tomorrow War follows in the footsteps of a long legacy of invasion movies, going back to the classic The War of the Worlds.
It did not occur to mankind that a swift fate might be hanging over us.
Both films feature violent aliens with frighteningly inhuman desires.
They have no use for prisoners or government, technology, money, nothing. We are food. And they are hungry.
Their two protagonists even share a name, Forrester, and a profession, scientist. And crucially, both movies put their faith in science's ability to protect us.
Our best hope lies in what you people can develop to help us.
The heroes of the Tomorrow War are not just soldiers, but driven academics.
I have a PhD in biotechnology.
Nerdy researchers.
When I'm nervous, I talk, and I'm like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 97.
And that geeky know-it-all in your science class.
Volcanoes are nature's fury, guys.
Science is celebrated in the Tomorrow War to drive home the message that our best tools for overcoming existential threats to humankind are knowledge, technology, and innovation. The Tomorrow War's entire plot hinges on second chances.
I feel like this is my opportunity to give this world a second chance. Second chances are really hard to come by.
Adult Mary gives her dad another chance to be there for her.
Why me?
Because you're my father, and there's no one that I want to trust more.
By taking it, Dan in turn gives adult Mary a second chance to see her dad, as she always wanted to remember him.
I'm so happy I got to see you like this. How you were when I was a kid. This is how I remember you.
While giving child Mary a second chance at living a full life, Dan's being given his do-over enables him to rethink his anger toward his own father.
You're never gonna know, Mary. You don't get a second chance.
His dad has told him about how his experiences in the Vietnam War made him unrecognizable to himself.
When I got back from Nam, I was in a very dark place. It would have been worse for you and your mom if I'd have stayed.
But because Dan refuses to understand and runs away from his dad's experience,
You quit because you're a coward.
in the initial timeline, he ends up repeating his dad's mistakes. After Mary tells him about a future in which he doesn't recognize himself either, Dan is capable of more forgiveness toward his father, who ends up being the only person who can help him.
I need your help.
I'll get my coat.
Charlie gets his second chance to be a hero after hiding during his deployment to the future.
Because this time, I'm not gonna hide. I'm gonna fight.
And, of course, the world at large gets another shot at a future. All of these second chances show us there's no shame in asking for or extending forgiveness. People do change, and the redemptive impulse to make things right can be one of the strongest drives for making our future world a better place.
Sorry, son. Sorry for everything.
In the end, the Tomorrow War reminds us that keeping loved ones safe, happy, and together is an action hero level achievement in itself. That we must work together to make a better world for all of our children. And that, perhaps hardest of all, we have to trust that they know what they're doing, as our future is in their hands.
I need you to do exactly what I say, when I say, how I say it. Do you understand? I have to protect you.
So, what did you think of Tomorrow War? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to the Amazon Prime Video channel.